Viewer contributions make local programming possible on WNIN. Become a member of WNIN with your contribution so we can continue to make this programming available. Visit WNIN.org and click on the donate button.
Well, Patrick, it says June 17th, we're taping today on June 17th, and I just came from outside. It's hot, it's humid, it's summer.
It is so much summer that this precedent-setting show tonight, for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, in 15 years of broadcasts, His Honor does not have a suit on.
I do not. I'm wearing a sport coat, a gift from my late mother several years ago, but I thought it was appropriate to wear it tonight.
I think it is. It's beautiful. You're showing a little hairline up there. You know, we've both got our hair and makeup people. We've got a great show because it's just the two of us. Stay tuned.
Patrick.
Yes, sir.
You know what today is? Besides the date.
Juneteenth. No.
No, it's not Juneteenth.
I don't know what today is.
Well, there are some special anniversary dates. On this date, way back when, the famous O.J. Simpson chase took place.
The chase itself?
The chase itself.
My. Everybody knows where they were that day.
And it gets better.
Yes.
You'll love this.
I will.
40 plus years ago, this day, 5 guys broke into the Watergate Hotel.
This should be declared a national holiday, but you know what a perfect segue. Because what they did and what Richard Nixon was forced to resign over pales in comparison to what the orange moron idiot monster does on a daily basis.
You're talking about your president now.
I'm talking about he who told us all that he would end the Ukraine war on day one. Yet he's president now, and while he was supposedly negotiating with Iran, oh, well, wait a minute, Bibi Netanyahu and the Israelis attacked in the Middle East. Your Honor, we have war. This same president who was going to tell Putin how to end in Ukraine said it's all Biden's fault, now is presiding over what it appears to be a war in the Middle East.
What's more concerning, quite frankly, is the president was staying out of the direct involvement on those discussions between the two warring parties and kind of let them do their thing. However, minutes before I came here to be with you, the president's getting more involved. It looks like it's a fait accompli. The United States is going to be involved in that war over there.
So we're going to, he's not brave enough yet to commit boots on the ground, but what we are going to do is involve ourselves in our bombers. You remember, this is the same president who on his first term withdrew us about on day one from the Obama administration's negotiated pact in which inspectors came into Iran and checked their nuclear capabilities. Trump withdrew us from that. Well, here we are.
Well, I guess he is saying the same words the Prime Minister of Israel is saying. And until Iran is wiped out, there's no safety.
Well, Bibi Netanyahu is a lot like Trump. You see, he had to keep getting reelected to keep himself out of jail. When he was elected, there were criminal charges pending, and it gave him control over the courts over there.
The reason Trump got reelected because you all didn't run a good candidate. And let me add one more thing. Speaking of Trumpster,
yes,
it's also the anniversary date of Congress passing the Smoot-Hawley tariff law.
Perfect segues once again. Do we have tariffs today, or have they gone away? And, you know, the markets go up and the markets go down because this orange idiot has to be the center of attention.
You know what the experts on Wall Street call that?
Taco. Yes. Trump always chickens out is what TACO stands for. You know, I'm no Gandhi, peaceful resistance. I understand that there are times when we have to defend ourselves.
Right.
But a draft dodger in the White House does not need to act like and have a military parade. Was that embarrassing? I mean, I know you're in a tough seat there and you're supposed to be
Well,
the foil, but seriously, you know, somebody on late night television said, you know what this is like? Like a little kid showing you his Hot Wheels collection. I think that's probably appropriate.
what's wrong with Hot Wheels collection?
Nothing, except we probably don't take them down the National Mall. I don't know, Your Honor. I don't know where this ends.
As we segue into more local and state issues.
No, we got to stay national a little bit, but go ahead.
This is national. The one saving grace might be that as the Trumpster becomes more hawkish, he's creating a fissure among Republicans because many senators and congresspersons do not want to see us get directly involved with boots on the ground in the Middle East. And this could be a parting of the ways.
Well, I hope you're right, since we have boots on the ground in an American city. My 5 million dear viewers and friends, I know 10 or 20 of you voted for the idiot. The rest of you, thank goodness for your good sense.
They voted for Kamala, right?
Well, they should have. Kamala Harris, our vice president.
They get it wrong?
Let me say this. Are you bothered? Are you struck by the irony that we put troops, United States Marines, and federalized the National Guard in the streets of LA, yet we pardoned the insurrectionists that broke into the Capitol, caused death and destruction and injuries? They were pardoned, but we sent troops into LA. Now, this world is upside down.
Well, Patrick, I hate to agree with you, but I do on that particular point. However, we talk about the media all the time. Jake Tapper and one of his cronies have come out with a book about the Biden administration.
Yes.
The concealing of his impairment. Shame on Jake Tapper. What a liar, what a journalist who did not live up to his pledge to report the news, to investigate the news. Jake Tapper and all the people at CNN knew what was going on. They actively tried to conceal Biden's shortcomings, and now they're going to write a book all about it. I think that is criminal.
If in fact you're correct that they knew and concealed it, then they are not doing what journalism has made this country great. And if they concealed it, shame on them. But, you know, as we think back on old Joe Biden, would any of you take those 4 years when all we had was a recovery from COVID, a national vaccine distributed, infrastructure bill, inflation was actually cooled off and the stock market hit record highs? You know, sleepy old Joe, give me 30 sleepy old Joes to this one idiot.
But going back to this Jake Tapper and his book.
Yes.
He is and his cohorts know they are not any Bernstein and Woodward. No. Bernstein and Woodward, they uncovered Deep Throat. They uncovered the whole deal. Then they wrote their book. These journalists knew what was going on. They were facilitators.
True.
And then they write a book to make a bunch of money. I think that's horrible.
And I think part of that, frankly, is the fact that we don't have a traditional newspapers anymore. The print media was where you and I grew up, Dad with the cup of coffee, and then I still love to hold a newspaper in the morning. It was news, it was researched, it was on your doorstep. Now it's television and it's ratings, and you know, you can find anything to confirm your bias, confirmation bias. You can go to MSNBC if you're on my team. You can go to Fox if you're on the other team. And it's more about ratings and headlines and breaking news.
It's about business.
It is. And that's where I think journalism has maybe lost its way.
Last week we had a guest. That show is going to be shown on Thursday as well. But we were talking about public education. We talked about what was happening to IU vis-a-vis the governor's actions, the legislation, the bill that was slipped into the budget at the last minute. But one thing I want to make everybody aware of, when we talk about IU, when I talk about IU, I'm not concerned just with what goes on in Indianapolis and Bloomington. IU has a footprint here, huge footprint here. You helped build that footprint. And it affects Ivy Tech, it affects U of E, it affects USI. And we should be very concerned locally about the direction of IU.
Absolutely, and it isn't just about IU. Very rare, 2 firsts tonight, ladies and gentlemen. His Honor is in a sport coat, and I actually have some notes in front of me, one of which is Brian Howie's column on opinion, the GOP's war on academia. Our local legislative august body who did that in the midnight, what they did to IU, but they also cut all higher education 5% with another 5% holdback, so effectively 10%.
Explain that to our viewers. That's a very, very serious situation. Not only a 5% cut, they're mandated to hold 5% of the money they got.
That's correct. Almost in like a savings account. But it's effectively 10% on your budget going forward.
Right.
They've been told to freeze tuition.
Right.
And then it just echoes what's happening, Your Honor, on the national level. This attack on Harvard and Columbia and defunding the National Institutes of Health. IU's medical center, the largest medical center and medical school in the United States of America, had moved itself up to 13 in research dollars in the publics in the United States of America, something all of us should be proud of. Groundbreaking research on a variety of illnesses and Alzheimer's, and it's where Lance, what's his name, the bike rider, came to get his testicular cancer handled. They do great things up there. They're going to lose somewhere around $100 million due to these National Institute of Health cuts. We're just heading in the wrong direction.
Economically, you think Eli Lilly would have grown like they have if it weren't meant for the academic institution?
No way. And before we leave the thought of IU, here's where it has significance in terms of the agenda of the other side. Mike Braun, who was a joke as a senator and has now quickly become a joke as governor in his big budget, he sent a message in this IU thing. Not only did he get rid of the alumni elected trustees, the message in who he appointed. He appointed Sage Steele, who was a vaccine denier and said that Barack Obama wasn't truly black. But we gave her an honorary degree. She's an IU graduate, used to be on ESPN. You could kind of maybe get that one. But he also appointed James Bopp. Now, James Bopp, ladies and gentlemen, filed suit against IU because of the vaccine mandate. James Bopp is counsel for the National Right to Life Foundation. Let me quote to you what Attorney Bopp, the new IU trustee, said about the 10-year-old who came from Ohio, the 10-year-old rape victim who came from Ohio to receive an abortion in Indiana. He said, I'm quoting, the model legislation he developed for the National Right to Life Committee would have banned that abortion. He also said that he believed that the child should have been legally forced to carry the pregnancy to full term and give birth, and, quoting, we would hope that she would understand the reason and ultimately the benefit of having the child. A 10-year-old rape victim. He now is one of the 9 votes on your flagship university. Makes my stomach turn.
Well, I tell you, I remember back in my days on the board, we were not that involved with what professors were teaching in the classroom. We just wanted a quality institution.
Shouldn't be the business of the trustees. That's the business of the academy.
Wanted the free exchange of ideas.
Exactly.
And that's all we really cared about. And our biggest confrontation, if you will, with the governor, if you call it confrontation, and the General Assembly, is making sure we got our fair share out of the budget.
Yeah, it was a time when the legislature did not introduce a resolution that had 30 votes that the Indiana legislature, and I quote, needs to adhere to the biblical teachings of God and to acknowledge the need for divine providence and humbly submit its ways to our Lord Jesus Christ. That was introduced in the Indiana House 53. Now, I respect all of their beliefs, but don't you dare tell me what I have to practice within my own religion or freedom to refuse religion. We fought back in 1776, that First Amendment thing, the government is supposed to stay out. Why can't these people leave that alone?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know if it's anti-intellectual notion, but at the end of the day, they're going to see damage being done. And they're going to say, what did we do? Why did we do that? They'll look back and have regrets.
You know, Mike All Brains, No Brawn, our governor, No Brains, All Brawn, our governor, he just kind of collects these offices. I mean, he got bored in the Senate. There was a great article, Mike Braun is failing Indiana, yet wants to be president. Nice editorial from James Briggs, basically saying, Mike, but then we've got this lieutenant governor, who may be a guest, by the way.
And by the way,
Micah Beckwith, who has said, Pride Month, you know what Micah Beckwith said on his post? He wanted to alert the citizens of Indiana that the rainbow beast is coming for your kids. That's what our lieutenant governor said.
And a message to our viewers, I think July 9th we'll be taping with the lieutenant governor.
If he shows, and I do respect him, he does go to town halls, unlike our congressman. Here's a quiz.
Hey, wait, send in your questions before that date so we have some ammunition.
Here's a quiz for you and our 5 million. How many of you can say the name of our 8th District congressman? Do you know it?
Mark Messmer.
Well, there you go. You keep up. Of our 5 million viewers, 4,900,099 were unable to say the name of our congressman because he's a rubber stamp, empty chair. You know, at least Larry Bouchon
was a great representative.
He was absent and didn't cut any bones about it, and now he's gone where Republicans always go, to lobby for people that he represented in Congress and get paid for that. But Mark Messier, we haven't heard a word. He won't do a town hall. He doesn't have anything, as far as I know. I haven't seen him quoted on anything. He's just a rubber.
Let me continue on the notion about IU for a moment. One of the biggest challenges facing IU and every other major institution of higher education is the athletic programs. With the recent decision by the Supreme Court and the implementation by the NCAA to pay, quote, student athletes salaries on top of the NIL, that's a big financial
We are just going to become, college athletics has become just the minor leagues of the NBA and the NFL.
My point is, we're going to need smart, unbiased trustees to lead us to these important decisions. I don't see that right now.
Well, I agree with you 100% on that. I don't know. We need good leadership at every level. I fear that we don't have. We have Diego Morales and Micah fighting for their SUV purchases. I don't know. Locally, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Except the roads are in horrible shape. And we have now the 5th installment of the Lloyd for You project. They're going to change all these exits. I mean, this is like that old song about the guy that got on the subway car and could never get off. I mean, this town is so torn up, and I don't blame the mayor because a lot of these are the county commissioners, because a lot of these projects are state-driven, but we got to get a message to the state. Treat us like you do in Indianapolis. Coordinate these projects.
Well, and also in Indianapolis, it's 24/7. You see them at night. The Lloyd Expressway was never an expressway, and we're backfilling now using, sometimes I wonder if they're out there with toothpicks. I mean, it never seems to be any progress, but what pieces they have gotten done, it's nice to go through without another stoplight.
The other morning, I was sitting on the deck, getting ready to go to work, and this heard the latest on this tragic situation happened in Minneapolis. I thought to myself, are we just living in unique, tragic times? Then I got to thinking, go back to the 60s. We had the race riots, we had the Weathermen, we had all kinds of violent activity took place. Is this country just an inherent violent population? What is the story?
When you and I, in those late 60s and the early 70s, there was a draft.
Right.
There was conscription. You could be taken out of your home and made to serve the government in a war you didn't believe in. I'll always defend those times, not the violence. And the violence wasn't assassination.
No.
And, you know, today, as we came in the studio, the good people here told me about the breaking news that I wasn't even aware of. You may not be, that a mayoral candidate for the mayoralty of the city of New York was today arrested by ICE for locking arms with a person who was at their immigration detention hearing. We have a U.S. Senator last week being taken down when he wanted to ask Kristi Noem, the head of Department of Homeland Security,
There's more
a
to
question.
There's more to that story.
He's a U.S. Senator taken to the ground. A mayoral candidate is arrested. Now we have people being shot in Minneapolis. I'm just saying the example gets set at a national level that polarizes us further. And they're the whack jobs, and they're on both sides. You know what today is also the anniversary of?
What?
The Republican congressman who was shot at the softball game.
Right.
So I'm telling you, there are whack jobs on both teams. Don't get me wrong. Today, I believe, is the anniversary of that assassination attempt. But it starts with Donald Trump, who would say at his rallies, take the guy out of here. I know what we can do with him. If you get arrested, I'll pay your legal fees. You can't have that out of the United States president.
That's exactly right. Where are the leaders? We may not have been a Reagan fan, but Reagan was a leader. He stood for moral character.
As did Jimmy Carter.
Yes.
I mean, there were exemplars. You could disagree with their politics. They understood the office. They understood the office as a symbol of what America should aspire to. I believe many great things happened during the Bill Clinton's 8 years, but I don't forgive him for dragging the office through what he drug it through. Barack Obama, there was no scandal there. I think and Michelle Obama were some of the most admired people on the planet. We don't have that now.
What we do have, though, concerns me. We have a ruling class. People become ultra wealthy in public service and are removed from the people. The decisions they make really don't affect the people. They don't affect them, I should say. I saw a story this morning about Barack Hussein Obama, who's selling his Martha Vineyard home for $39 million. Where does a Chicago street lawyer, before he became president, earn the money to become to be able to afford a $39 million summer home? I mean, that's not just Democrats, it's the Republicans too. We have removed our so-called leaders, ruling class, away from the people. And that's what really concerns me.
I would suggest that Obama's both have had very bestsellers and very popular books. I don't know where that came from, but I'll guarantee you it didn't come from selling a new phone and Bibles and other crypto and Teslas lined up in front of the White House. The grift that we now experience at the highest level is yet one more example that is not being set for the way this is supposed to go.
And what it's going to take from both parties is for people of character to rise to leadership and take the chances and put their hat in the ring and bring this country back to a moral clarity.
I think that's right. I think the fever has to break. The fever that started actually with Prop whatever in California, and the Tea Party got its legs, which led to Sarah Palin and
who?
And yeah, really, and Richard Murdoch unseating Richard Lugar and those kinds of atrocities. We've got to break. And you know what? You and I, we've known each other our whole lives. We have this show. We don't have to yell at each other.
No.
We believe that politics has a role, and essentially the argument is over the role of government and the expenditure of tax dollars. How much government? I think there ought to be a bigger safety net than you do. And we argue over those things. That was Reagan and Tip O'Neill.
I remember
That's where we need to be.
I remember at the local level, my dad a former Republican member of the House.
Yes,
State
a great
House,
man.
walking to lunch to F's with Louis Accarino and Frank McDonald. I mean,
Exactly.
those days are gone.
I spent his last New Year's Eve with in my former father-in-law's basement with and he was a big Democrat, with Russell Lloyd.
Yeah.
Before he was shot. That New Year's Eve, down in the basement, having cocktails. Local politics, they fought over who got elected, but it wasn't personal.
No.
And now we try to indict each other.
Let me ask you
We try
this.
to shoot each other.
I've alluded to this several times. We only got 2 minutes to go here, but I'll let you all use the entire 2 minutes. What we need in this state is this strong two-party system, which we don't have.
We do not.
So what's your form? It's up to you. What's going to happen? How are you going to get your party back in the game?
Well, I would tell you that a couple of times, for instance, 1974, the Watergate babies, things got so bad, and we can point to the reverse. Right. The Democrats had Congress forever until Bill Clinton tries to do health care, and Newt Gingrich comes from the back bench, uses Rick McIntyre and Frank McCloskey's election as a deal, and all of a sudden the Republicans take the House. The same thing, George W. Bush is president. At the end of his 8th year, we have Wall Street collapses, and we're able to elect in the state of Indiana, carry the state of Indiana by somebody named Barack Hussein Obama. So one side screws it up so badly, the other side is reborn.
But Pat, how do you rebuild your party in the state of Indiana?
I think this is how. I think there will be, Mike Braun's already showed that he doesn't know what he's doing with his silly big bill that cut everything people take for granted. They will screw it up so badly that leadership will emerge. There's county commissioners out there right now. There are mayors. Most of the urban cities in the state have Democrat mayors. One of them will emerge.
Right.
Maybe Stephanie Terry will emerge. We'll reorganize. We reorganized around Evan Bayh. There's another Evan Bayh out there.
Could be.
We better have a two-party system, or we will continue to have people like Micah and Diego and the rest of them.
Let's hope the lieutenant governor joins us next month.
Well, I hope he does too. The only thing I respect about him is he goes to town halls and he meets with the people and he tells them his views, unapologetically tells them his views. And maybe he'll do it right here.
And you'll be kind to him, and
we will ask our 5 million viewers. You know, there's a website that's run on each one of our shows. If you'll send our questions in, I will see that they are answered.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up, Your Honor. I think your outfit is amazingly appropriate for the summer. Some of us, of course, have maintained our dignity, but that's okay. Some of us are leisurely public servants.
Enjoy this great weather. We'll see you in July.